Welcome all of you in Renuka Institute of NEET. Myself Dr. Sushil Naik. Today in biology, we will talk about the population interaction, in which first let's talk about mutualism. Let me explain all the examples given in the NCERT along with its photograph. Mutualism. Mutualism is an interaction between two organisms of different species where both the partners are benefited. Here in this condition, none of the two capable of living separately. The organisms belong to the different species need to live with each other only for their existence. If they live separately, they cannot survive. For an example, if we talk about lichens, when algae and fungi are found together, in that condition only it is called as a lichen. The same way, symbiotic nitrogen fixation, that is rhizobium bacteria found in the leguminous plant. The same way, mycorrhiza, in which fungus and the plant root live together. Another example is of termites, which are found for the cellulose digestion. Lichens, it represents an intimate mutualistic relationship between a fungus and photosynthesizing algae or cyanobacteria. The mycorrhiza are association between the fungi and the roots of the higher plants. The fungi help the plant in the absorption of essential nutrients from the soil, while the plant in turn provides the fungi with energy-yielding carbohydrates. So both organisms get benefit from each other in the case of mycorrhiza, and it is found in the case of pinus. The mutualistic nitrogen fixation is found in the root nodules of the leguminous plant, as well alder and casuarina, leaf nodules of the Adicea, coralloid roots of cycas, and water fern, that is azolla. Mutualistic nitrogen fixation is found in these all plants. Termites is the another example of mutualism. Termites harbor cellulose digesting flagellates. These are the protozoans or unicellular animals like Trichonympha camphinula. These flagellates help in the cellulose digestion in the wood. Flagellates are unable to live independently. Because termites would die of starvation in the absence of flagellates. As flagellates are present in the body of termites, flagellates help the digestion of wood, and these digested particles from the wood or the carbohydrates are required to sustain life in the case of termites. And so both organisms are found together. For their survival, the existence of both is required together. Another example is the ruminant mammals, possesses both ciliates and bacteria for cellulose digestion. Ruminant mammals are those mammals which are mainly herbivorous and depend on the plant leaves for their nutrition. And these ciliates present in their intestine help in the digestion of cellulose and other organic compound, mainly carbohydrates. If we get the pollination and seed dispersal as a mutualistic relationship, most spectacular and evolutionarily fascinating examples of mutualism are found in the plant-animal relationships. Plants need the help of animals for pollinating their flowers and dispersing their seeds. So plants always require animals for these two main purposes. If we talk animals have to be paid fees for the service that plants expect from them. Obviously, the animals need something from the plant. In this condition only, the animals need to visit the flowers or the plant. Here, in this condition, the plant offers rewards or fees in the form of pollen or the nectar for the pollinators and the juicy and nutritious fruits for seed dispersal. Obviously, the pollen grain is small and edible in this condition. Nectar, that is the nutritive secretion of the petals, is also available for the animals in the plant, and for this purposes only animals visit such flowers or the plant. This is mutualistic relationship. Both organisms can benefit from each other. As we say, the plants need animals for the dispersal of seed and the pollen, and other hand, the animals require nutrition or the food from the plant. The mutually beneficial system should also be safeguarded against cheaters. For example, animals that try to steal nectar without aiding or helping in pollination. This is also found in many cases. The animal visit the flower but do not help the plant in pollination or seed dispersal, and these animals are considered as cheaters, as they get benefit from the plant but do not help the plant at other hand. To prevent it, co-evolution of the flower and the pollinator species are tightly linked with one another. In the co-evolution process, both the pollinating agent and the plant undergo evolution process, and this kind of relationship become highly specific, and this is a natural protection against the cheaters for the plants. If we get the examples of this, in many species of fig tree, there is a tight one-to-one relationship with the pollinator species of wasps. It means that a given fig species can be pollinated only by its partner wasp species and no other species. So in this condition, this specific relationship is found between the wasps and the fig tree. The female wasp uses the fruit not only as a oviparous, that is egg-laying site, but uses the developing seeds within the fruit for nutrition or nourishing its larva. So here, the wasp keep its eggs inside the ovary, and at the end of the pollination and the fertilization, the seed development occur, and this seed is also used for nourishment to the larvae of the wasps. So both get benefit from each other. The wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence while searching for suitable egg-laying sites. In return, for the favor of pollination, the fig offers a wasp some of its developing seed as a food for the developing wasp larvae. So this is very simple relationship between the wasp and the fig. You can easily write this example as a mutualism kind of relationship. It's a 2-mark question for the people in the exam. Another example is of orchids. Orchids show bewildering diversity of floral patterns, many of which have evolved to attract the right pollinator, insects, bees and bumblebee, and ensure guaranteed pollination by it. If we interpret this example, it says that the orchid and the bees and the bumblebees have a specific kind of relationship. Both help each other, both get benefit from each other, and that's why this orchid and the bees and or the bumblebees is an example of mutualism over here. How it works, let's see. In fact, here it is a specific relationship, and that's why not all orchids offer rewards. In fact, the Mediterranean orchid offers employs sexual deceit, that is sexual structure, to get pollination done by the species of bees. In fact, bees need something from the orchid. In that condition only, it visits the flower. And so the plant provide the sexual deceit or sexual structure for the bees. What is this sexual deceit or sexual structure? Here we can say one petal of the flower of the orchid bear an uncanny resemblance to the female of the bee in size, color and marking. So the petal of the orchid flower get transformed into the structure which is resemble or similar to that of the female or bee. So when the male bee visits such flower, it is attracted to what it perceives as a female. And so false copulation, that is sexual act, that is pseudo copulates with the flower or the petal, and during that process is dusted with the pollen from the flower. So when the copulation act is carried out between the bee and the petal of the flower, some pollen grains shed down and it stick to the part of the bee. When this bee pseudocopulates with another flower of another plant, it transfers pollen to it and thus pollinates the flower. In this condition, the bee or the bumblebee do not know that pollen grain is stick to its body, but it's a natural process. Co-evolution occur between the orchid flower and the bee. So the bee help the flower for the pollination purpose or in pollination. Here it is co-evolution. Students, think, if the female bee's color patterns changes even slightly for any reason during the evolution process, so it means it do not resemble that of the female bee. In such condition, what happen? The pollination success will be reduced. Obviously, na? In such condition, bee or the bumblebee do not visit the flower as it is not attracted by the flower. Till the petal of the orchid flower resemble the female bee. In such condition only, the male bee visit the flower and do the false copulation or pseudo copulation. Unless the orchid flower co-evolves to its maintain the resemblance of its petal of the female flower, we can say the pollination is possible between these two organisms.